Alpine team have found themselves in quite a messy contract situation following Fernando Alonso's shock decision to move to Aston Martin at the end of the 2022 season to replace the retiring Sebastian Vettel on a multi-year deal. The timing of that announcement, though, left Alpine in a vulnerable position, with the clear heir to Alonso's throne, Piastri, seemingly free to sign with other teams after an option clause expired. Alpine's confirmation of Piastri joining the team in 2023 was quickly debunked by the driver himself, who stated unequivocally that he has no intention of racing for Alpine due to a widely reported deal with McLaren to replace Daniel Ricciardo for next season. This case appears to be heading to court, as both Alpine and McLaren are believed to have valid contracts with Piastri. Former F1 driver and race winner Ralf Schumacher, on the other hand, believes Alpine must now respect Piastri's wishes and accept that the damage caused by Alonso's departure was self-inflicted. Oscar Piastri has done the right thing. Now we can only hope that the sore loser, in this case Alpine, doesn't put obstacles in the boys' path. Piastri was with them, they had everything in hand, all they had to do was give him a contract. I'm sorry, I like Otmar Szafnauer, but he will be disappointed in his own performance that he didn't see it coming with Alonso and that he doesn't have a plan B. That's the embarrassing thing about the whole saga. Accordingly, he has to blame himself. Oscar did nothing wrong. At the end of the day, Alpine could have questioned Alonso earlier and made it clear to Piastri that they would be relying on him in the future. He won Formula 3 in his first year and Formula 2 as well. What should he be waiting for? I would have done the same if I'd have been offered a job. Schumacher also believes Alpine's initial desire to loan Piastri to another team, rumoured to be Williams, rather than fully commit him, has played a role in their tug-of-war with McLaren. He continued, "One thing was clear, Alpine wasn't interested in putting Piastri in the car next year at the beginning because they saw that young drivers need a certain amount of time until they arrive in Formula 1. They wanted to put him somewhere else for 1 or 2 years. There was an option from Alpine to put Piastri in the cockpit, but it wasn't taken because they didn't expect Fernando Alonso to leave. When you have such a duel, it's criminal to let him go. If you're then unable to get the contracts right yourself, you can't blame the young man. You also have to remember one thing. Piastri's manager, Mark Webber, has a very, very close relationship with McLaren team boss, Andreas Seidel. While Ralf Schumacher appears to be fully on Piastri's side, 1997 Formula 1 world champion Jacques Villeneuve has warned the Australian that his actions could have long-term consequences. This one is fun to watch because it's just surprised everyone. To start like that with that kind of pressure is not easy. It brings your name into question that whenever a team or sponsor will sign a deal with you, there will always be this question. How will we be treated? What will happen when we trust this person? It's a very dangerous game to play. The Canadian has also warned his potential 2023 employer that just because Piastri excelled in the junior series does not guarantee that they will get an F1 world champion, because not everyone excels under motor racing's brightest spotlight. There's F1 and then there is the rest of the world, and there are so many drivers over the years who have been kings in every other form of racing and winning everything. Then, the minute they got to F1, they just couldn't handle it because it's a huge step up both in talent, pressure and mental ability. Piastri has been amazing all the way through, but how he is in Formula 1, we don't know yet. That is the big question. McLaren's opportunistic swoop for Oscar Piastri, who is expected to be announced as Daniel Ricciardo's 2023 replacement now that Ricciardo's departure is official, and the way Formula 1's 2 leading midfield teams fought for his services, demonstrates a rarefied level of interest in a rookie. Alpine's interest is long established. Piastri joined the academy in 2020 after winning the Formula Renault Euro Cup. However, as a driver on the outskirts of F1, with no free practice outings to his name, it is understandable to wonder how and why a rookie in another team's program ended up in McLaren's sights. Piastri was an obvious target once McLaren decided that replacing Ricciardo was worthwhile, especially when you consider his rise beyond the headline achievements of back-to-back Formula 3 and Formula 2 titles. Piastri is clearly an excellent driver. He's also self-assured, ambitious and studious, with a deceptively laid-back demeanour that can obscure how confident he has always been. In late 2020, he wasn't daunted by his first test and Grand Prix weekend experience with Renault in the slightest, even though he could feel his career had accelerated slightly by winning the F3 championship. He then quickly worked out how he would make the most of his reserve role after accepting that he would not be able to get an F1 race seat for 2022. A mix of on-site experience, lots of simulator time learning car development, and a big 2021 testing program to develop himself and stay car fit. He expressly stated that he did not want to race elsewhere, such as for a year in Super Formula, because he felt it would be a distraction. Piastri's ability to learn is perhaps his most impressive trait. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated the trait of constant progression. There was an obvious upward trend in his formative years in cars. 5 of his 6 wins in British F4 came in the second half of his rookie season, and he scored all 3 podiums and twice as many points in Part 2 of his first year of Formula Renault Eurocup. This is to be expected of any competent young driver gaining driving experience. What distinguishes Piastri is his awareness of more nuanced areas to improve and, more importantly, his ability to do so. That hasn't gone unnoticed in the paddock, with former Formula One driver and TV presenter Martin Brundle claiming he's one of the most highly rated young drivers in recent history, even before the whole saga began. His results speak for themselves. He's a bright lad, he's personable. Alpine are pushing him forward nicely. I know he's doing a lot of testing quietly as well, so he looks like the real deal. And having Mark and Anne Webber in your camp is no bad thing. But you never really know until the spotlight's on. The spotlight, you're either like a sunflower and you grow even taller, or you wilt like a different plant under that pressure. My guess is that he's going to be just fine, and he's got the speed to go with it, a bit like George Russell. He's got the touch, and he's got the confidence, but I don't think you can ever be nailed on until you get in there and have to do it. In fact, Brundle stated early on that Piastri must have an F1 seat in 2023, citing both his newfound experience as a test driver, even though it was not certain at the time that the Australian would find a free space in the sport. It'll be difficult because there'll be another tranche of youngsters coming along. I don't think it's game over. I see Alpine using him hard. He's doing a lot of testing, so I think that's helping him because I see a lot of broken kids who spent their lives, most of their conscious lives, at a racetrack, winning, and suddenly they're spectators. Some of the reserve drivers, they get out of there on a Saturday night the moment it's clear that the regulations say that they can't get in the car. After quali, they get out of there. I haven't seen Oscar do that because it was breaking them. It'll be interesting what Alpine do on that, but in any event, Oscar has to jump in any Formula One car he gets a chance to drive because you've got to be in it. 2 years out, and I think for his own sanity it would be too much. But you know, as we saw with Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso, they outperformed the Minardi. Senna outperformed de Tolman. You can get in and look good. Daniel Ricciardo in an HRT wasn't it. For example, you can outperform your car and shine. You don't have to be winning, so they've got to get him on the grid whatever happens next year. With Formula One finally back in action after the summer break, we're getting closer to finding out where Oscar Piastri will end up in 2023. Alpine and McLaren are likely to face off in F1's courts, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes. What are your thoughts on Oscar Piastri? Does he have a promising future in the sport? Who do you think he will drive for in 2023? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.